Sorry guys, it's been a while now. I've been thinking about getting back into the garage and building something, and I've been eyeballing a Mocotaugan for a while. And just recently I was watching on Mike Barton's channel. He had picked one up from Randall Graham and at Vinland Bushcraft, and I was looking at it and I was like, you know what, I've been wanting one of these things for a long time, and I really don't have the cash to run out and buy one, so I'm gonna try and make one. So here's the plan. I've got these two files, both of them are Nicholson's. We're gonna go ahead and anneal these in the barbecue. I picked up some lump charcoal. We're gonna give it a go. Whether I succeed or I don't, or I fail, I'm gonna post this video anyway. I want you guys to see it, and my whole goal is not to come out and show you that you know, how easy it is or how uneasy it is to make these knives. My goal is just to get out and say, you know what, let's try it. Who cares if it doesn't work out? At least we're gonna learn something from it. So here's the plan. Got these two files. One I'm going to use, one is a backup in case I screw up, but we're going to anneal them both at the same time. We're going to load up my barbecue with some charcoal, get it good and flaming hot. We're going to sink these guys in there, get some air on them, raise that temperature up hot so they get good and cherry red, and then we're just going to leave them be. And that should get them nice and soft enough to be able to work them without breaking. Now, just a tip, on these files, the handle part, you can see the color difference between the two of them. The handle part is still very soft. With a little pair of pliers, you can take this and bend it, no problem. If you do that here and you pull it too much, it's just gonna snap like that. So we gotta get this to be soft like this. Basically what we're gonna do, like I said, in the barbecue, we're gonna anneal it, get it red hot, bring it down to normal temperature overnight, and then we're gonna be in business. So let's go ahead and get that done. And then we'll see if we can actually make a Mocotaugan. Cross your fingers for me, guys. This is not the best ferro rod ever. I put some lighter fluid on there to get it started. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so we got tons of heat coming out of this guy now, and the flames are kind of flicking out through the top every now and then. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over and dump this right through the middle, and we'll see if we can toss over some of those old coals. We'll get those into the action as well. Guys, besides the barbecue, the other tools I'm going to be using for the annealing process is a pair of pliers, and this thing here is one of those air pumps that you would use to blow up a mattress pad. We're going to go ahead and use this. It really forces out quite a bit of air, and it should keep the air going enough to get that good red and hot. So right now we got tons of heat going on there. I can barely get my hand close to it. It may actually cause me a little bit of trouble if I can't get close enough to wiggle the pieces around to make sure everything gets red, but I think we should be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy going. We're gonna blow on it, get it good and cherry hot, and then we're gonna put the lid on it, close it, and we're gonna wait till tomorrow. Guys, we achieved the goal. We got it nice and cherry red. Now we're going to let it cool down slowly. So we're just going to put the lid on. We're going to leave it like that, and we'll check it out again tomorrow morning. All right, guys. So it's the next day. Just finished work. I just got home. We're going to go head over to that barbecue, check it out, and see if our files are ready. Let's go take a look. Sorry, guys. Let's go ahead and open this up. We'll take a look and see what we got. Remove the lid. Get rid of the grill, and here's our two files, kind of buried in there. But to check and see if these are going to be good, we're going to take ourselves another file, one that we haven't heat treated at all, and basically what we'll do is we'll test it out in a couple of spots and see if the file will bite into the new material, into the file that we've heat treated, or if it'll just slip off and make like kind of like a funny high-pitched noise. So let's take a look. So you can see that right there. We did take material off quite nicely and quite easily. This is a medium removal file, so it's nothing heavy, not for heavy removal, and it did take off the corner there quite nicely. And we'll see here, try a couple of other spots, and it removes here as well. So let's try the other one. All right, so here we go, got our file. Yep, removed the corner quite nicely, and it works quite well back here too. So both of our files are showing that they've been softened up quite nicely, and they're ready to be used, ready to be shaped. We're ready to start cleaning this up. So right now we're just going to put this on the belt sander, remove all the teeth, and we're going to take down just a little bit of this here, because I want to have one flat side and then one tapered side, and then we'll go ahead from there. We'll just make sure that we don't do the wrong side, because this is going to be a right-handed knife. So this is going to be the tapered side, this is going to be the flat side. So we're going to have to take all this down a little bit, and we'll see where we stand. So I'm going to go fire up the sander and start taking some of this material off. I just forgot to mention that I'm actually I've got this coffee pot here, and it's all full of water. So as I'm doing a couple of passes on the belt, I dip it in there to keep it cool. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, to save my fingers, don't want them to get burnt. And two, I don't want this to heat up and then cool down, heat up and then cool down too much. I don't want it to re-harden the blade at all. So I am passing it on the sander. As soon as I start feeling any kind of warmth, then that's it. It goes into the water. I dip it, I cool it right down again, and I keep on going. I want to make sure that this doesn't start to harden up again on me. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and keep on doing that. Now I'm going to try to remove some of the edge here up at the top, and try to get it to be about the same thickness as the piece at the bottom, only on the one side, and we'll move on from there. All right, so we had a good go with the sander. I'll give you an idea of how close we got. So I'm using the other file as a straight edge. We're pretty much bang on. Now I just want to do is just round up this little corner here, and then we'll be ready to strap this to my jig, and we'll start sanding down the bevel, see how it looks. Alright, there we go. Sorry guys, I think I've shown you this before, but I'll show it to you again. This is the little jig I made out of some hardwood flooring to get my bevel. I saw this on another YouTube channel, thought it was genius. My first attempt at this, actually, I put holes in my old workbench, and that worked as well too. The same kind of principle, but this one's good. I can lock it into the vise and I can move it around without putting any holes in my table. So I've got this old rusty file here. It still works fine enough, but I use a little bit of Gorilla Tape to tape it on there. It holds on there nice, and I put my rod through this this loop here, which you can turn up or down depending on the angle you want on your bevel, and you just clamp your piece down to here, and as you grind it, you just remove material as you're going up. Works quite well. We're gonna go ahead and use this today, and the only thing is I have this set up for bigger blades. I don't have extra holes here, so we'll see how it works, but hopefully we'll be able to get the results we need. So let's go set it up and get that bevel grinded up. So we are just about halfway there, getting pretty close. But you can see we're a little bit farther along here than we are here, so we got to make sure we balance that out. But once we get to the end, it'll all be perfect. Whew. telling you guys, I shouldn't have picked the hottest day of the year to do this. I'm sweating something crazy. It's brutal out here today, and we're expecting anyway, crazy weather. It's supposed to be thunderstorms, possibility tornadoes, the whole deal. It's gonna be a nasty, nasty day. But anyway, enough of that. I'll show you where we're at. All right. So I kind of did like a full flat on there. I'm gonna leave it like that, and you can see it's very, very, very tiny, the edge there, but I have to leave a little bit there so it doesn't melt when I'm trying to heat it back up again. And I'm gonna put an edge on there after with one side with my diamond stone, because it is supposed to be a chisel grind. So we'll knock it down until we get a burr on the back end, rub that burr off, and then we should be in business. So the next plan is I'm gonna go to about here. I want to heat this up, and I want to bend this a little bit with you know, maybe something like that, and then we'll see how that goes, and then we'll start bending up that tip, and then we'll be ready for a heat treat. So for now, let's see if we can heat this up in that little forge thing I made, and see if we can get a bend in there. Cross your fingers for that. There we go, got it. Alright guys, just to show you where we're leaving off, this is what we got so far. There's our knife blade. Alright guys, so this is where we're at so far. You see we got our sweep. We got our sweep and our knife right there. We have our bevel carved out. There's our ricasso there. I was going to put a little notch in there, but I don't think I need it. I can always do that a little bit later anyway. This is the part here where I'm going to have buried in the handle, and I bent it up just for a reason. I was looking at some other ones that I've seen that were made, and they had a what do you call it, you know, like a straight. It was more like this. It was straight and then just into a curve, and I found that flexing your hand this much was kind of difficult to maintain, and it took more strength to turn your hand out, at least for me. So I decided to put a little bend in it, so when I grab it, it holds my hand at more of a comfortable position than completely flexed. It's a more relaxed position, and I find I can do that. But thinking about it, it may actually make the blade a little bit weaker. So if you're really, really forcing on it, you may twist your blade like that. Maybe, not really sure. But this is what this is all about, right? We're out here to learn. We're out here to test out what we can do, and we're going to go ahead and see how this will wind up being. So basically what we'll do is I've got a chunk of burl here that I'm going to have to heat up somewhere and drive out the rest of the moisture, and then we'll work the handle out of here. You know, once I flatten out this bit here, I should have a nice comfortable thing to a blank anyway to get started on the handle. So just my thoughts so far. I think the extra bend in the handle will give me a little bit more comfort while carving. I think the sweep is pretty good. It should be good for getting into bowls and things like that. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully my bent handle doesn't affect the sweep for carving. But again, this is a learning process, and that's what we're out here for. Here's our Mocotaugan, and I've basically just cut off that little point, so we're gonna have about this much to stick inside. Should be enough. And I've also roughed out a little bit of my piece of beech burl, and I roasted it in the oven for a little bit just to get rid of some of the moisture that may be left in there. I did get some checks and some cracks in there, but I think I'm going to fill those up with epoxy after anyway. We'll see how it goes. If the good thing about it though is if the handle gets messed up, I can always remove the removed the Mocotaugan, and I've got other pieces of cherry and things that I could use as well for the handle, so that's no big deal. But we're gonna try this guy first. So I want to put a couple of notches just in here with a file, and hopefully we can get the when we glue this in, it'll help hold it in better. It may or may not. There is, if you look at the file itself, there is a little bit of texturing still left on there, so that should hold on good enough, give it enough grip. First things first though, I want to drill a hole in here, or 1 or 2 holes, and I'm going to finish that off with my Leatherman saw so we can get this to sit inside there just enough. Should be fine, should be deep enough. Actually right down to about there. Should be deep enough. We'll get it in there comfortable, and it feels like it's going to feel pretty nice on the hand, so we'll see how that goes once we get that seated in there. But let's see if we can get that drilled in, and then we'll move on with the saw, and then just start chipping away at this handle to make it comfortable. Stick around. Alright, now you'll see right here, I've got a little line, a little square drawn out, and if I look over here on this side, hopefully you can see that, I've got it kind of drawn out a little bit there as well. Alright, so when you drill your holes, your pilot holes in there to get in there with your saw or whatever it is, whatever tool you use to dig out that hole, try your best not to break a drill bit in there. It happened to me today. It was very unfortunate. It took a long time for me to get it out, and I'm worried now that maybe the interior of my handle might be a little bit screwed up, but we'll see. But anyway, I am very close to getting to where I want to my depth. I got to go a little bit deeper. I want it, if you can see it right up here, see where the bend is? I want to get it right down to that bend. So right up to here, I want to bury that in there all the way, and then we'll start shaping out the handle and hardening up the blade. So I'll come back again when we're at that point, and I'll bring you back and I'll show you where we're going to go from there. So alright guys, this is how I want it to sit in there, just slightly on an angle. So when I file out this part here on my thumb, make this go down to a slant, round out my corners, this should be very comfortable in pulling towards me. So I know it's starting to look like, almost like it's going to look like something very soon. So we're getting there. We'll see how this goes. It's kind of crooked, kind of wacky in a whole bunch of different ways, but you know what? I think that's what's going to make it comfortable. So give you another look at that real quick. Alright, so I'm just going to put a couple of notches in here, so when I epoxy it in, it'll fill in all those holes and keep it from ever slipping out and going out and back, just to give it some extra grip. That's the theory behind it anyway. Alright guys, so right here, I filed in a couple of little notches inside. I'm hoping that'll keep the file, once it's epoxied in, from moving forward or backwards. We'll see, but that's the theory anyway, and I'm sure it's going to do an alright job. Doesn't have to be huge, just enough for epoxy to fill in those holes. So really, there's no set way to do this part of the process. Really what it comes down to is getting something that's going to be comfortable for your hand, in a shape that you're going to need to operate this knife the way it's been designed to operate. So I got my handle all carved, roughed out pretty much, and I filled up some cracks with some epoxy. I'll give you a look at that. And now what we're going to do is I've got my forge heating up. It's getting nice and hot, and we're going to see if we can harden up that blade. So I'm going to bring it up to nice really cherry hot, and I've got a little canister here filled with vegetable oil. We're just going to give it a quick dunk in there. I've done this a few times, so I kind of know the color I'm looking for, but if you're ever not sure, you can always test it with a magnet to make sure that you got it up to the proper temperature. I've never tried hardening anything in this guy here before, so this is going to be a first. We'll see if I can get it hot enough and even enough to be able to dunk it, and then we'll go from there. So there we go. We've got her sitting in the oil, and it's actually okay to touch now. And the thing is, it seems to have stayed pretty straight, which I'm pretty happy with. And every other time I've tried this, it's always wound up being a mess after that, all twisted and screwed up, but this actually turned out to be okay. So I'm just going to wipe the oil off of this, and then we'll toss this into an oven at 400 degrees, and we should be good to temper it up. Add some springiness back to it. When you're ready to temper your blade, just go ahead, stick it in a toaster oven or a regular oven, or even a barbecue if you can maintain the heat. On this knife here, I'll be doing 400 degrees for 1 hour. Really don't know if that's going to be enough or not, but that's what I've done with my other knives, and it seems to work out just fine. So there you go, guys. Open up that toaster oven, set your heat to bake, turn that all the way to 1 hour, and let it go. I've already done mine at home. I forgot to shoot the footage, unfortunately, but there you go, guys. That's how you do it. Sorry, guys. I found it a little bit difficult in the tempering process to find out any decent information. I was doing a lot of searching the web and all that stuff, trying to nail down exactly what kind of steel a Nicholson file would be made from. Quite often, people were saying it's W1, and some people were saying it's 1095. It's hard to get the information sometimes, and I sent an email off to Nicholson, and never got anything back. And this was a long time ago. That said, what I ended up choosing to do was I put it into my oven at home at 400 degrees for 1 hour. I let it cool down, and then I did it again a second time. So we got all the parts of our Mocotaugan here put all together. Just got to epoxy that in. But there's one thing I wanted to do. I want to put a little leather cap there, just at the end. I think it'll make it look a little nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and make one. We'll go ahead and cut one of these pieces out here, and maybe I'll do one, maybe I'll do two, just to give me a little of extra thickness here. It might look a little cool with some leather on there. We'll see how it goes, but we'll go ahead and get that done. So we'll go ahead and glue that on, and we still got to figure out that little hole in there to make sure that we're looking good. All right, so we're going to epoxy this guy up now. We'll squeeze out our epoxy. We'll use a fair amount of it this time. Where did that little cap go? There it is. Go. Get our little spoon. So to give that a good 20 second stir. Make sure it's all mixed up and uniform. So we'll slide that back on again. Get this stirred up nice. Then basically just start stuffing it in the hole. We are going to put some on the knife blade itself, or on the tang, sorry. Get that covered up in the tang. Good and covered. Now we'll slide that in. We'll fill in any cracks to make sure if there's anything left over that it will fill in nicely. Whoops, it's all dripping out the side here. We'll drop our leather piece down. Make everything nice and stuck, good and hard. I want to make sure that it stays in there. There we go. And when we sand all this down, that should make a nice coating. So we're going to leave this be, let it dry. I'm going to see if I can fashion something to keep it nice and tight inside there. And then that's about it. We'll just have to wait till it dries, and we'll check it out in another day. Here we go. This is our Mocotaugan. It's Got the little leather bit out in the front there. I actually put some epoxy on there to make it hard. It's kind of shiny. But we'll see if we can dull that up when we sand it down. And there's our burl handle. We got to do some work on that still. I still have some stuff I want to do. You can see right here where the thumb goes. I want to taper that in just a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more of a, make it a little more comfortable. And let's back out here a little bit. There we go. So I want to taper that in a little bit and taper this end in a little bit, and then we should be pretty much good to go. It's very comfortable. Sorry guys, for the most part, we're looking pretty good. If you look at that, I got some sanding to do on the blade, and the handle I'm working on just a little bit here. I'm trying to scoop out a little place that I can stick my thumb in. You see that? And it's really comfortable in there actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and just chip away at this, and then we'll just get ready to start sharpening this bad boy up. Alright, so I've been debating on how I was going to sharpen this for the last little while. Trying to go over it, see which way would be the best way, the easiest way, and whatnot. I do have a DC4 I could probably use for the straight edge part. But once I get around that little curve, it was going to be quite difficult. And so I decided to go with the same way I sharpen my spoon knives. It's with a diamond rod. So I could easily just do the whole length of the blade, or just do the straight part and then do the curve after. It's easy enough. And but this diamond rod that I have is a little bit on the coarse side. So once that's done, I'll be switching to a 600 grit sandpaper, and then to a 1200, and then I'll try to strop it up after that best I can, and then we should be in business. All right, so I've already done a couple rounds with the diamond rod, and once I've gotten it pretty sharp, I put a quick wrap of 600 grit wet dry sandpaper, and now I'm switching to a 1200 grit. So let me double check that. Yeah. So now I'm going to switch to a 1200 grit. Hopefully you can see that. And we'll give it a few more passes. And I'll come back shortly and give you a look at how sharp we got it here. That's respectable. I have a little bit of pallet wood there. That's not so bad at all. To show you guys, this is a piece of cherry here that I'm working on, and I'm just quite easily carving a bowl for a spoon or whatever it is I wanted to carve, or a bowl or anything like that. You see that works out pretty nice. See? Nice little divot. So I think the first thing I would definitely do again is this handle shape. It's very quite comfortable. I carved a little divot in there for my thumb. It really locks everything into place and gets very comfortable. The knife itself took a decent edge. It's pretty sharp. I'm not sure if it's still been messing with it. Not sure if it's still hair popping sharp like it was before, but anyway, it's still sharp and it still carves quite nice. The handle I used, the material I used, it was a piece of beech burl. I had one issue with it. I had a big chunk of it pop out. So I'm going to see if I can fill it up with something, some plastic wood or whatever it is, and just call it that. Kind of unfortunate that happened because it looked like it was going to be a nice piece. I gotta clear off. I got some sticky crap on there. But all things considered, things I've learned, I think I definitely make the knife next time about this long. So as it comes up, it would sweep up from here, and that would be that. A nice shorter one, 2.5, 3 inches of flat and then a curve. I think that would be good. I like the bend, but I wish the bend would have been higher up here instead of all the way back there. It would give me more power in my stroke, having it close there. But everything is good. I mean, I learned some things, came up with a usable tool, which will be awesome, and it actually makes me want to build another one. All right, guys, just to show you what I use to. I actually use this on my spoons and everything. I use mineral oil, the kind you would use if you were constipated or something like that. But this stuff works great. It's food grade mineral oil, and it's very cheap. So. All right, guys, so we're all done, and lo and behold, once again, it's raining. But while we're out here, while we're getting wet, I just want to talk to you about this Mocotaugan here. Very proud of what I've accomplished here. It is not it's not as you know, it's not a professional. I'm not a professional at this, but I was able to make it. I made it my own, and I really like how the handle looks. I think the handle looks pretty cool. It's extremely comfortable in my hand. Fits me great because it was made for me. So that's one of the cool things about it. Got the thumb divot in there. I've got the nice bend, so it kind of cradles in your hand, right like that. I can get a good grip on it and really pull on it. It seems to carve real easy and real nice. It's got a nice scoop on there, so I'm able to dig my bowls as I showed before. I put a little leather cap on there so it would look just a little bit better than it would just being plain. So I think that turned out okay. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with this, and I hope this inspires one of you guys to get out and give this a try. It doesn't have to be a Mocotaugan. It could be a knife. It could be you know, a thumbnail gouge or some kind of scoop or anything. Just anything you can use to take with you out on the trails and give it a try. If I can do it, you can do it. And I didn't have that many fancy tools. I could have done a lot of the sanding work. I could have done that with a file. I have the wood files. I just didn't feel like putting all that elbow grease into it. But the first knife I ever made, I made completely with only a file. That's all I use, a file and a hacksaw. From beginning to end, I did the whole thing like that, and I'll never do that again. But the point is that if you have the patience and the time, you can make really cool tools that you can use at home, anytime, any place, anywhere. And I hope this video inspires one of you guys to do that. So anyway, there it is, the Mocotaugan. Take care, guys. Get on, explore.